are these people?
Assal Rad, professor, one of my favorite speakers, and she's been correcting all the headlines, which is amazing. Western media will always give Israel the benefit of propaganda. Talking about genocide, obviously, for nearly 2 years, Western media has normalized Israeli war crimes and dehumanized Palestinians amid Gaza's ongoing genocide. They've been complicit, whitewashing, and we've talked about this at length, but I just think she puts it beautifully.
Oh, right? God. That fucking photo is brutal.
Blood on the phone, looking at the journalist
on the fucking phone.
On a lock screen. Yep. All right. Language isn't neutral. It shapes the way we perceive global events with profound implications for public opinion. In the context of the Gaza genocide, the discourse deployed by Western media is far from objective. Do you denounce Hamas? What is it? What do you say, Pierce Morgan? How about do you denounce Israel? It often contributes to the dehumanization of Palestinians while reinforcing pro-Israel narratives. This bias isn't just about what is reported, it's about what isn't, but also about how the story is told. Israel's recent bombing of Nasser Hospital provides a striking illustration of how media coverage can normalize war crimes. Now, if you don't know what happened, she's going to describe it, but Reef and Colin covered this on INN News. This was the double tap. So they bombed the hospital, and then they waited and sent more bombs to kill the rescue workers and the journalists that covered the bombing. For nearly 2 years, we've witnessed a clear pattern of mainstream media coverage on Gaza. Israeli actions are often described using terms like self-defense or targeting Hamas, framing them as justified, and Israeli officials are treated as legitimate sources for the facts regarding all events. On the other hand, Palestinian sources like journalists, witnesses, and doctors are often doubted, and the historical context of their systematic oppression under Israeli occupation is often absent from the reporting. Like it all happened in a vacuum. This linguistic imbalance shapes how the issue of Palestinian liberation is even understood, positioning Israel as the victim and Palestinians as aggressors, regardless of the power disparity between the two. And wealth disparity, by the way. So this describes Israel as the cry-bullying victim. For decades, Western media has perpetuated this skewed narrative and consistently minimized Palestinian suffering while amplifying Israeli victimhood. A January 2024 report from The Intercept offered evidence of the systematic bias in major Western outlets, such as New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times.
Fuck The Intercept.
Fuck The Intercept, too. The quantitative
and
analysis.
Also fuck them. Fuck all those fucking news.
Right. All of them. The quantitative analysis revealed that emotive words like slaughter or massacre were almost exclusively used to describe Israeli civilian deaths, while adopting more neutral terms for Palestinian civilian deaths. This imbalance isn't an accident. It's a deliberate effort by the media to distort the reality of the conflict and shape public perception to diminish the scale of Israel's violence against Palestinians. The corporate media's coverage in the aftermath of Israel's most recent horrific attack on Nasser Hospital provides another egregious example of this calculated bias. The attack, reminder, which killed at least 20 people, including journalists and rescue workers, was part of a broader pattern of Israeli assaults on Gaza's healthcare infrastructure. Also something that we have been talking about at length for 2 years. We've been bringing stories of them targeting healthcare workers, targeting ambulances, targeting hospitals, kidnapping Dr. Hussam Abu Safia in December. And free that guy now. All right? Despite overwhelming evidence, Western media outlets initially prioritized official Israeli statements that tried to soften public outrage by calling the bombing a mistake, running headlines that framed the incident as a tragic mishap. This form of reporting, which downplays Israeli crimes and legitimizes its violence, is not new. However, what made the hospital bombing particularly notable was the release of the footage showing that it was hit in a double tap attack, clearly targeting the rescue workers in broad daylight who were responding to the initial strike. And of course, there's no accountability. As footage of Israel's direct strike on rescue workers spread across social media, fueling public outcry, it was evident that this was not an isolated incident, all right, we know that, but a deliberate targeting of journalists and medical personnel. Another one. Instead of condemning the attack as an obvious war crime, Western media echoed Israeli claims. Again. When Israel later stated that the hospital was targeted due to a Hamas camera, and they really published that in fucking Reuters, Hamas camera being present.
This is the fucking dumbest shit.
A claim so outlandish it's almost laughable. The media unquestionably reported this absurdity as a justification for the attack. And thanks to Reuters, it was disseminated to every major outlet in the world. By accepting and reporting Israel's explanation, the media helped reinforce the narrative that bombing hospitals was somehow acceptable in the context of targeting Hamas or a so-called Hamas camera. This failure to challenge Israeli claims is emblematic of how Western media regularly parrots official accounts, even when they defy basic morality and logic. Just like we talked about in the last story with Arturo. Go ahead.
They sent 3 fucking missiles. You need 3 missiles to kill a camera? Like, no. Like, we're not buying this fucking bullshit anymore. We're done. Fuck that shit.
Here we go again. We're dropping frames. We're dropping frames, and hopefully we won't lose the stream again. God damn it. Well, so much for that idea. Oh boy, this is fun. Okay. So it wasn't until after the initial wave of coverage, which sought to then absolve Israel of yet another war crime, that some outlets began to report the truth. All right. An investigation by the New York Times contradicted Israel's account and rationale for the attack. Later coverage from the British bullshit company and, cunty news network revealed that Israel had attacked Nasser Hospital more than the 2 initial strikes originally reported. As Reef just said, it was actually 3 strikes. Though the later reports refuted Israel's explanation, they still didn't employ the language of war crimes, and the damage had already been done. That's the idea, is to report the wrong thing first, so the perception is out there, and then correct it on page 17 later on. Indeed, after flooding the airwaves in the wake of the attacks with Israel's ridiculous explanations, Israeli talking points had already become entrenched in the public discourse. That's the idea. That's their game, is to get people believing the nonsense and then be like, yeah, but that's not really true and blah, 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 and then retract it. But already, again, what's the story that a lie can make its way around the world before the truth has a chance to put its pants on? Ayuba Ahmad on Substack. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for all you do, man. Really, I appreciate you. Even Reuters, which had its own reporter killed in this attack, not just this attack.
I know.
Lebanon. Reuters failed to acknowledge the deliberate nature of the Israeli strikes. Instead, their headlines again repeated Israeli statements asserting that journalists were not the intended targets. This despite overwhelming evidence that Israel has consistently targeted and killed their Palestinian colleagues and employees in Gaza, resulting in a staggering number of casualties among the press alone. And their families, by the way. So now she's talking here about propaganda over truth. This again is Assal Rad, Professor Assal Rad, writing for the New Arab. She's great. The media's initial reporting and subsequent failure to hold Israel truly accountable highlights a disturbing trend in which Western outlets choose Israeli propaganda over the truth, often downplaying and normalizing blatant violations of international law. As such, the media allows the continued dehumanization of Palestinians and the normalization of Israel's atrocities, even genocide and ethnic cleansing and baby murder and starvation, forced starvation and drought. The Nasser hospital bombing is not an aberration. It's part of a larger pattern of Israeli aggression against Gaza's civilian infrastructure, including hospitals, homes, and schools. And now they're doing the same thing in Lebanon. And they're doing the same thing in southern Syria, too. These attacks are plainly war crimes under international law. We've been calling that every week. Yet, Western media's refusal to hold Israel accountable or to even call their actions by their appropriate name is symptomatic of a deeper problem of how Israel's oppression of Palestinians has been understood in the Western world. Again, a lot of it is who owns the fucking outlets? Who's hiring the reporters and the editors? And who are they loyal to? And who are they being influenced by? Look at what just happened with David Ellison. We're going to talk about that later on tonight at Skydance, now looking to buy the Free Press and put Barry Weiss in charge of CBS News potentially. If maybe even all of CBS, who knows? But rather than immediately challenging Israel's account of the Nasser hospital bombing and contextualizing it within the larger story of the Gaza genocide, legacy media repeated Israeli talking points, again helping to normalize the attack as regrettable but inevitable part of war, not a one-sided massacre. When was the last time you even heard about any rockets or any return fire coming out of Gaza anywhere? And how is this a battle again? Yeah. This ongoing bias in Western media coverage of Gaza is not only about misreporting, it's also about complicity. We're going to talk about complicity later on tonight when we get to Matt Taibbi and shitting all over him. When the media acts as stenographers for genocidal states instead of defenders of truth, they become enablers of that very violence. Well, they also are funding and providing air support and spy flight support and military support and operational support and intelligence support. So yes, they certainly are enablers of that very violence, not just the media, because the media acts as a propaganda arm of the U.S. government and the Israeli government. By normalizing war crimes, Western media is culpable for them. I believe that there were media that were indicted and hanged at Nuremberg. And I believe that people like Piers Morgan, if we do have a Nuremberg-style hearing at some point, the media like David Muir and all the lead anchors for all the major networks that spouted this stuff unquestioningly all need to go in front of that tribunal. And they're having one, by the way, right now called the Gaza Tribunal. I believe Jeremy Corbyn and all the people that do these tribunals, there were several of them about Julian Assange, I remember. They had tribunals. All right. But that's just the first fuck Israel story. We've got plenty of them tonight. A few of them, not too many, because we're going to get to boats later on tonight.
I sent you one in your DM, too. I don't know if you have that or not.
I don't know, but this one, Israel is besieging Gaza City from 3 directions, pushing the nearly 1 million Palestinians still left, currently sheltering there, towards southern Gaza. Still, they're saying, oh yeah, Gaza's population, how is it a genocide if they're increasing? There's only 1 million people left right now, according to this.
Yeah.
Each military advance flattens homes and infrastructure in its path, threatening the erasure of millennia-old Gaza City. Well, we got that happened, and displacing the people sheltering there. Most of the areas in southern Gaza which the military have allocated for relocation, are within no-go zones or in areas unsuitable for habitation. That's where they want people to live, 1 million people, in like these little tiny patches of land, these little areas. They're out of their fucking minds.
Yeah.
But that's not even really what they want. They want to kill them all and take all of the... Look at all that orange.
Well, and look at...
Go ahead.
If you notice, there isn't any fucking green ones in the north, is there?
Nope.
Like, continually push them further south.
Anything north of the Netzarim corridor is now deemed a no-go zone. And they've already destroyed all of this area, as is their plan. And this is where they're shoving everybody who's left. And again, their plan is to push them right into the Mediterranean, or to get some country to eventually take whoever's left. But of course, the big issue...
Even though they have a fucking no-go zone right in front of Egypt, so they're not going that way.
The big issue, again, with anybody taking whoever's left is A, it's their fucking land and they are never going to leave it, nor should they have to. But B, if they do accept it, that means that they're accepting Israel removing them from the land and stealing all of it for themselves. Nobody's going to do that. They're going to have to murder everybody there if they want to take that land, and then live with that and know throughout history that that's what they had to do in order to do it, and then be conquered at some point because they had to do that, because that's how history's always worked. It's just a matter of when. You know, at some point, we are not going to be the big bad swinging dick to defend them with a military that's so big that anybody else in the world is afraid to challenge it. And it may be 10 years, it may be 20 years. I'm hoping it's a lot sooner than that, but we have no idea. Again, our military is preparing for China 2027. We reported on that a year ago. We covered that 1 year ago. So they're, again, pushing them further and further into a smaller area. Israeli troops are advancing toward Gaza City from 3 directions. Jabalia in the north, Shujaya in the east, and most recently, the Netzarim corridor in the south. Right? This leaves Palestinians with only one place to go: toward the coast, along the Al-Rashid Road, and into southern Gaza, like we saw here, right here. They're pushing them out of Gaza City, and they're literally just dropping bombs all over them. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that's the one that you sent me. Oh, the leaflets. Yeah, I couldn't believe this one. They're dropping leaflets over Gaza City, warning people to get out. And they're like, where are we supposed to fucking go? That's literally...
Look at that.
And they're like,
that's
oh
like
yeah,
what we did before fucking Nagasaki.
That's humane. I believe I actually responded to this and be like, you know, these monsters, where are they supposed to go? You know, dropping leaflets. Yeah. Look at first of all, the buildings are all bombed out. They can barely live in them anyway. They're practically uninhabitable. Right. And we just saw the map, right? Like, they're here. Where are they supposed to go when they start dropping bombs? Well, they want them all to go here. And then they're probably going to drop a bomb on that too. That would be my guess. Is their plan. Yeah,
I mean, it's just continued fucking fish in a barrel. You just got to make the barrel smaller.
All right. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring before we read the article about what they're doing is this flotilla thing, because they have sent a massive flotilla to try to deliver aid and to break the blockade that Israel's been pushing. This is a surfboard.
It's looking at us right now. How's it going?
Equipped with saddle. This is the Israelis spying on the flotilla.
What is going on? Is this thing driving itself?
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Like a surfboard with Starlink and cameras on it in the middle of the ocean. Look at this thing.
At Black Tip?
It's got camera. It's got a FLIR on it. Dude, this is the craziest thing ever. Look, we've just found a thermal camera and a Starlink on a paddleboard, like some spy software. It's
not like.
It's got a propeller.
It is, and
Oh,
I
and I can
guarantee
see it
you, there's a
moving.
drone operator somewhere.
There's more of them? What?
Yep. That's how they're literally tracking this flotilla. It's it's fucking crazy, man. It's absolutely insane. Where's the thing I sent you earlier? This one. Yeah, that's the one I wanted to play. Greg Stoker. He's actually on the boat. All right, and he sums up exactly what's happening really well.
Last minute to attach a veterans boat to the global Smud Flotilla is because we know firsthand that as we witness the final assault upon Gaza City, which is sheltering hundreds of thousands of civilians, half of whom are children, this begins and ends with the United States empire. We also know that Israel is not conducting a military operation in Gaza City. It has no timeline, no operational parameters, no cohesive battlefield plan beyond saturation bombing every last high rise in the area. The unachievable goal of recovering their hostages, prisoners of war actually, since they're all military personnel, through military action, and the impossible strategic goals of defeating resistance forces in the field and reestablishing military deterrence across West Asia. None of those are going to happen. This is a land grab. This is ethnic cleansing and genocide in service to the capital interests of the U.S. empire and the transnational ruling elite. This is what they have decided is normal. Real estate opportunity of the Gaza Riviera, the untapped natural gas that lies in the Gaza Marine Basin, the possibility of a new waterway from the port of Eilat to northern Gaza to rival the Suez Canal. All of this, for them, the Palestinians, are in the way, and there is no possibility of moving ahead with these plans until they are all removed or annihilated, as it's the only way to be sure that all resistance is snuffed out. They're just playing for time. Genocides take a long time to effectuate. Starvation and disease can take years, as there's never enough soldiers and never enough bombs to kill millions of people directly. And the brutal arithmetic of this genocidal war, it's bad resource allocation and it's bad for morale. You know, the SS Einsatzgruppen had the same problem in Poland in the 40s. Therefore, we are watching in horror the slow process of famine, sickness, and constant displacement under the guise of evacuation orders. This is the modern day Trail of Tears. So remember, Americans and citizens of Europe, the same elites that are supporting this foreign policy in Palestine, built entirely on a combination of messianic ideology and capital accumulation, are the same people that pushed for the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, and are the same people crafting domestic policy in your own homelands. Whatever they're willing to do to Palestinians, they'll do to you. So no one is safe until this is made to stop. No one is going to be free until Palestine is free. That's just the beginning, okay? Because a better world is possible, and we're already building it. So as the Smud Flotilla is assailed in international waters, trying to establish a humanitarian corridor to Gaza amidst the siege of Gaza City, you need to decide what y'all are going to do on the home front to try to bring this insanity to an end. So think about it. You got about 2 weeks to free Palestine. The reason we scrambled so hard last minute.
That's a good damn video, man. He nailed a ton of talking points in a very short amount of time, which is why I felt it was important to bring it. He talked about the Ben Gurion Canal. He talked about the gas that's under Gaza. He talked about a lot of the stuff, you know, half of them being children. And he's at least trying to do something. Again, we've talked about flotillas and that they're performative in nature. You know, what else do you do at this point? So I guess, you know, performative is better than standing around, but, you know, stopping the weapons manufacturers and BDS is also effective. You know, big time. Make sure that you vote with your wallet, that you make sure that the companies that you're soliciting and the goods that you're buying are not supporting genocide. And there's a big list. So that's one way you can do that. So he talked about what's happening in Gaza City. I brought this Mondoweiss article. Airstrikes, explosive vehicles, and bulldozers cause insane destruction in Gaza City, eyewitnesses and civil defense say. Indie Media Award honoree Mondoweiss. Greg is writing for Indie Media Award honoree Mint Press, by the way, or doing podcasts for them. He says this is Tareq Hajjaj. The Israeli army is using airstrikes, rigged explosive APCs, and bulldozing operations to level neighborhoods and displacement centers in Gaza City. Eyewitnesses and local officials say it's to cause mass flight and prevent residents from returning, because it'll give them nothing to return to. All right, and that's the destruction of the Al-Falah school in Gaza City's Zaytun neighborhood. That was a school. Fucking horrible.
Yep.
Ahead of its full-scale invasion, a planned full-scale invasion of Gaza City, the Israeli army is causing widespread destruction in the Strip's largest urban center, forcing residents to evacuate ahead of its publicly declared start date, October 7th. How convenient. Recent reports from eyewitnesses and civil defense show that the Israeli army has been using retrofitted armored personnel carriers, or APCs, that are sent into dense population centers, including neighborhoods and displacement centers, before they are remotely detonated. How nice. The attacks continue alongside an extensive bulldozing operation in the city and constant aerial bombardment. Between August 12th and August 18th, the Israeli army destroyed over 400 buildings in the Zaytun neighborhood and launched a limited ground incursion at its edges. The army also launched a similar operation in the Sabra neighborhood west of Gaza City. Civil defense spokesperson Mahmoud Basal told Mondoweiss that the Israeli army destroyed over 1,500 buildings in Gaza City in aerial strikes alone since August 6th, largely in Zaytun and Sabra. 1,500 buildings. Anybody live in those buildings? Notice they never mention people. Basal explained that the civil defense continues to receive calls from trapped civilians in the two neighborhoods, but that there's no way to reach them due to heavy shelling and bombardment. How about stopping the fucking shelling and bombardment, assholes? We're afraid that the Israeli invasion will get even deeper into Gaza City and that civil defense crews will be unable to reach the places they bomb. I can't imagine why. Nowhere in Gaza is safe, whether north or south. Bombs chase residents from their homes, from their displacement centers, and even from their tents, literally leaving them nowhere to go 24/7, running from bombs all day, every day, for 2 fucking years. Imagine that were you, how you would handle this, watching everybody around you killed one by one, with these fucking starvation centers run by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. That's really just a fucking Merc group that's run by Eric Prince. Abdul Wahab Ismail, resident of the Saftawi area in northwestern Gaza, evacuated his neighborhood on Tuesday after several buildings on his street were detonated by what he described as explosive robots. That's the APCs. Quote, the Israeli army sends the robots near our homes, which they park there to terrorize us. Okay, the army doesn't detonate them right away, waiting for fear to push us to flee. When people don't leave, the army detonates the robots, regardless of whether there's civilians in the area. They just don't give a shit. Because nobody's holding them accountable for their war crimes. The robots, quote unquote, described by Ismail are likely the Israeli army's outdated M113 APC models, which have been retrofitted with explosives and remotely detonated near buildings throughout it's not a war, it's a massacre. Ismail told Mondoweiss that neither he nor his family had time to take anything from their home due to fears that the APC near them would be detonated. So he says before now, the army used to blow up 1 or 2 buildings with the robots. Now they destroy dozens of buildings at once. Robots and warplanes working together to destroy every place in Gaza City. Ismail said that he and his family won't leave. They can't afford transportation to move south and get a tent there, and they can't move on foot either. We arrived here in the west of Gaza with nothing. We're on the street. we'll try to find something to cover our heads with, but we're staying in Gaza City. And we know what that's going to mean. They're going to eventually be killed, unfortunately, because nobody's going to stop this. In lieu of a full-scale invasion, the Israeli army is using its combination of airstrikes, rigged APCs, limited incursions, and bulldozing operations to compel residents to flee ahead of the planned ground invasion. Flee where, assholes? Flee where? To another fucking camp? Assal said the army has been carrying out the wide-scale bulldozing buildings in Gaza City, clearing and flattening entire neighborhoods in a manner similar to other neighborhoods in Gaza City and other parts of Gaza. And there's links to show where that's happened. It's a large-scale bulldozing operation that's leveling the Zaytun and Sabra neighborhoods, because this is making way for them to start building almost immediately. The army uses bulldozers run and owned by private Israeli contractors. Again, the private contractors are the ones that are getting these contracts to do that, follow up, level the buildings, make sure the ground is clear, so Trump and Kushner and their investors can start sending in building materials and dump trucks to clear out the rubble. Because they've already sold that land, or started to. But Assal clarified that the explosive APCs are now taking center stage at this point in the Gaza City operation, describing the remote-controlled vehicles as death robots. Are you ready for this to come to our town? Because it's probably going to at some point.
Mm-hmm. Already here.
Death robots? No. Exploding APCs in U.S. cities? We don't have that yet.
The APCs are there, though.
Not the ones that explode and take out buildings and people.
Remote armored person. I mean, just put some C4 on one, which is what happened here.
As of August 6th, the Israeli army has sent up to 5 robots to different areas inside Gaza City every single day, especially in the Al Zaytun and Al Saftawi areas. All right, asserting that the APC's blast radius is 100 meters and destroys or severely damages anything within that distance. He confirmed that the Israeli army has not yet fully advanced into the city, but has used remote vehicles to level buildings and intimidate residents into mass flight. Oh, thanks for that. Yes, they Jesus. Assal said this goal is apparent.
Just another war crime.
Given one of the APC's targets, civilian displacement centers. According to Assal, the APCs have been used to destroy every displacement center in the Al Zaytun neighborhood to prevent people from staying in the area. Assal described the destruction as unprecedented. Yes, when they destroy 80 or 100% of an area, that certainly is unprecedented. The destruction operations in Al Zaytun suggest something insane and unimaginable, he said. Complete areas were erased and bulldozed. All the schools in the area were destroyed. Not a single school has been left standing in Al Zaytun. It's a clear plan to annihilate the entire area. Over 80% of it has already been destroyed. We're talking again about over 1,500 buildings destroyed by aerial bombardment alone. That's before you get in there with the robots. The buildings destroyed by robots are not included. This is destruction like the Beit Hanun area. Gaza residents are reluctant to flee under bombardment. Of course they are, because while the Israeli army has continued to drop leaflets and call Gaza residents by phone, would you ever answer your phone with a 972 area code? I know I wouldn't. All right, promising that humanitarian areas are being prepared for evacuees in the south. That reminds me like Mars attacks. Like we come in peace, we come in peace. As they're fucking shooting at them. Israeli Army Arabic spokesperson, I don't give a fuck what his name is, posted a warning to the residents of Gaza City ahead of stage 2 of the operation. Quote, evacuating Gaza City is inevitable. They're the Borg. Every family moving south
Resistance is futile.
That's right. Will receive the maximum humanitarian aid currently being prepared, which is nothing. That $5,000. You know, Trump is saying $5,000 for everything you own, for everything that you've ever known, for all the land, your entire family, your memories, everything. $5,000. Take it or die. And die. The spokesperson said that the Israeli army was setting up tents and preparing areas for distribution of humanitarian aid, the construction of water pipelines, and other infrastructure. You mean the ones that they already had and that Israel already destroyed?
Right.
But so far, most people
and
evacuating the city.
Plants and fucking
all the streets and the ambulances and the power plants and the generators. Most people evacuating the city do so only when the bombing reaches them due to the lack of other options, residents are reporting. The residents of Al Zaytun are almost 80,000, Assal said. Only about 20,000 remain in place. The rest had to leave when the bombing reached them if they weren't killed, but all of them left for other parts of Gaza City, mostly to the west, not to the south. One person in 1,000 decides to follow Israeli army orders, he said, clarifying that most people have no funds to hire transportation, which costs over $300, while a tent costs over $1,000. We could walk into a fucking Walmart and buy one for $25. $1,000 for somebody in Gaza because they have nowhere else to go, and that's how scarce they are. That's how valuable anything to shelter them that isn't a destroyed building is. People have also already tried what displacement was like in the south. They know there's no safety there. The Israeli army burns people alive inside their tents. And we've covered that on more than one occasion, too. Fuck Israel for all of those things.
Yep.
Again, this is not a war. It's a massacre. There is nobody fighting back at this point. There are like 10, quote-unquote, hostages left, which Israel has clearly said they don't care about, and multiple times while they're bombing knows that they could potentially be murdering those hostages. They don't care. It's not about the hostages.
Yeah.
The hostages' families have charged Israel with not caring about the hostages and using them as a prop and the justification for continuing to do what they do, which is massacring everybody in the area so they can steal the land. Now, we're getting a little long, so I'm not going to cover this whole thing. I'm just going to show you the headline because holy shit. Another Mondoweiss headline. This one from September 4th by Qassam Muaddi. The new Israeli map proposing to annex 80% of the West Bank explained. Israeli finance manager Bezalel Smotrich released a map proposing to annex over 80% of the West Bank. He's not far off from the rest of the Israeli political establishment. Even the pragmatic opposition wants to take most of the land. They want to push people into these 6 yellow zones, sorry. Where's the map? Here it is.
Yeah.
That's where they want everybody. That's where they have now.
The map.
They want them in those tiny little spots. And settlers are going to live all around them, by the way. Get the fuck out of here.
Yep.
So, getting back to the article here. All right, he presented a map showing all of West Bank as a part of Israel, including Bethlehem, the Jordan Valley, and the entire Palestinian countryside, while only 6 Palestinian cities, Jenin, Tulkarem, Nablus, Jericho, Ramallah, and Hebron, were marked as isolated ghettos. Smotrich said that if the Palestinian Authority opposes his plan, Israel would uproot it like it did with Hamas. So they'll just take it all. Smotrich also called on Netanyahu to implement his proposal if he wished to enter history as a great leader. These fucking ghouls. War crimes. The Hague is not good enough for these people. Well, Saying fuck
Yep.
Israel, covering stories like that are certainly not going to get our channel remonetized by YouTube. We have been demonetized since just after October 7th for putting up a video that told people that what Hamas is doing is resistance, and when a people are occupied, resistance is justified. Apparently, that's not okay with YouTube. Thank you to Descent in Bloom and to Sean the Accord Lord already for tonight. They've already contributed using Cash App and PayPal. The other ways to do that, again, are Cash App $ Indie News Network. We've got ko-fi.com/Indie News Network. PayPal.me/Indie News Network. That's what Sean did. Then we've got the websites at indienewsnow.com. We're live there now, and there's a ton of different news that you can catch up with, all from independent sources, and at the Substacks at innewsletter.com, and as well as at indiemediatoday.com, where we're actually live right now also. Welcome and hello to everyone watching on Substack. Thank you so much for doing that. Support independent media, because we need it more than ever. I love you all, and see you soon, everyone. Have a good night.
Mwah. Ciao, baby.
We go out of here.
No! We just fucking lost the stream!
I think I liked it better being blind, when I couldn't read between the lines, and when I couldn't see the cracks in the structure that lay bare before me the whole time. I think I liked it better back when I suspended disbelief and swallowed pride. I thought I knew the difference in the red from the blue, but they both bleed us so dry. They both bleed us so dry.
My favorite songs don't hit the same way. I get to the end of a 4-minute track and I'm only looking back thinking, what did they actually say?
I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want me to say? You prove it's possible to sleep for days, and I still think you're right here awake. The cost of living isn't much to make, but God, it's so hard to say. And when they told you everything was safe, were you